Alright, so it's mid-February and I'm already starting to watch the movies. I think, yeah, that's great. Also, if you saw any GTA RP no pixel clips on my channel, no, you didn't. Uh, they're all unlisted. Mind your business. Anyway, I wasn't hacked. Just a fan. That's all. Anyway, so the other day I watched Skinamarink, kind of like the song, the little kid song. Watch that. I was blah, blah. I heard about it like late last year. Why is my voice so bass extra? Why is my voice bassy? I mean extra bassy today. Anyway, so yeah, I heard about it like late last year, and it was like, oh, there's some like indie horror film, um, experimental, blah blah blah. It'll change, one of those kind of things. Like, you wouldn't believe this indie movie, all that stuff. And I was like, all right, I'll watch it whenever I can. And since it's indie, I'm like, well, it's either gonna be easily accessible, like the people have it like on their website or YouTube. You know what I mean? Like they'll be like, "Hey, we put it on festivals, and then now here it is." Or you're not gonna be able to find it, or you find it and they're like, "Hey, could you help us out? We're a really small production. I know this is asking a lot, but if you could please pay the $49.99, and you're like, "Oh my god, like holy shit." Anyway, freaking Shudder got a hold of it, and I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, thank you Shudder." You know, I love how I knew about Shudder because like some woman at New York Comic Con ages ago saw me. She goes, you like horror," and I was like, "How do you know?" As I'm dressed as like a villain in a video game. Like, yeah, how do you know I like evil things? Anyway, so the movie's like 100 minutes or something like that, and part of me is kind of conflicted about how I feel about this movie, and I'll go into spoilers later. But I mean, conflicted in the sense of, so as an artist, as someone who went to art school, does the weird art, does all that shit, I'm like, ooh, this is different. This is weird. It's like if you saw my best of movies, most of the stuff on there, besides the normally what people would say were good movies, but then like the other kind of stuff, it's because it's like weird, it's different, because in the market we have right now, it's like insanely saturated with movies of remakes, redones, the comic book movies, like all that shit. It's just too much of like the same shit, and you stand out by being a little weird. And yeah, so as an artist, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, this is weird, and like it kind of doesn't make sense, but fuck it, I'm in for the ride. Yeah, this movie. And then then sometimes I have to like kind of take a step back and be like, well, how would like normies like view this? How would someone who doesn't make weird niche art that no one understands and yet is still trying all these years after school to be like, I'm selling it, I know it's weird, but I'm gonna keep making a lot of it. How does someone who just like I like movies, like someone who's just like, I think I like scary movies, like just a Norman, how would they feel viewing this movie? They would hate it. They would hate it. They would be like, what the fuck is this shit? They would probably have the thought of me when I watch some bad movies where I go, this should have been a short, this should have been 10 minutes, this should have been, that kind of stuff. When I say, if they would edit it down kind of stuff. And that's partially how I feel conflicted. But granted, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because the weird artist in me obviously will always win over the normie thoughts kind of stuff. Obviously, this is not a movie I would suggest to just anyone, because if I know you like weird shit, I'd be like, all right, watch this movie. Like, if you can't even, like, sit through, like, 2001 A Space Odyssey because it's too slow or whatever, like, I'm not going to suggest this one to you because it's even less of things happening. And that's not even a spoiler, that's really, But anyway, I'm going to go into spoilers. Like I said, I like the movie. Again, not to spoil it, it is very slow. It's one of those slow burn kind of horror movies. And again, I'm gonna go into spoilers. 1, 2, 3, spoilers. So, this movie, it is filmed, it's filmed digitally. Initially, I thought they actually got, like, an old, like, VHS camera, but there wasn't that sound. There wasn't that... I mean, this isn't the camera, but, like, I have like, one of my old DV cameras that I did back in the day, good old, starting in 2009 recording. You could hear, like, I mean, you could kind of sometimes hear the camera here, most likely you're hearing my computer fan that's next to it, but you can hear, like, the like that sound that some of the cameras have. I mean, I always use a memory card and not tape. Oh my god, when people use the tape, the mini tape, you could really hear it. Anyway, this is technical, like, film nerd shit. Anyway, so yeah, it's filmed, it's in a house, so the whole movie takes place in a house, but it's just like, nothing is filmed, I guess you would say, how things normally are filmed. So there's no, like, establishing shot. There's no shots like this, where you, like, see, like, we're in a room, like, kind of stuff. Like, we can obviously see that this is a room, this is a bedroom, where, there's the sun, that kind of stuff. No, it's like, it'll be filming, and it'll just be, like, this part of a room, like, all this stuff is blacked out, and you'll just see, like, here, it'll be like this, you'll just be like, hold on, let me just show, it'll just be like, the movie's like this, it'll be like, hold on, oh god, how do I zoom on this thing, oh god, yeah, the movie will be like this, and it'll just be, you'll just hear, like, like that kind of stuff, you'll just, like, and then, like, the next shot will be like this. It'll just be like, so you're in a room. Like, you're in a room. Look at my box sets. It's like, you're in a room, but, like, what the fuck? And yeah, and then sometimes it'll do, like, that thing. Wait, hold on. Where's, like, my other windowsill? Just, like, doxing my whole ass room. Anyway, yeah, just my hair high and my eyebrows. But, like, sometimes, god fucking hell, it'll just be like, it'll just show, like, a windowsill, right? It'll just show, like, a windowsill, and then all of a sudden, like, the window will be gone. It'll be, like, a fucking wall. And you're like, what the fuck is... And it's a Totoro. Alright? Actually, this doesn't happen. It doesn't... Alright. I mean, there is, like, a jump scare. Dear god, this tripod. There is, like, a couple of jump scares, and it does get kind of annoying and, overdone. But anyway, okay. So yeah, the movie just kind of, like, does, like, weird shots, like, it's the light, and we'll just, like, film the light for a couple of minutes, and it'll be, like, the corner of, like, the fucking, doorway, like, just weird, like, shots that they're, like, okay, it makes me wonder, like, did they storyboard this, and we're like, alright, we're just gonna put the camera there, we're gonna put the camera there, and, so it's a family with 2 kids, and, all that fun stuff. And it's, like, late at night, and you just hear kids whispering. And that kind of stuff. And every so often, at one point you heard, like, a dad's voice, and he's like... And it's, like, very much, like, that kind of audio stuff. Like, you're, like, a room or 2 away kind of hearing stuff. Like, huh? What? And the movie's kind of, like... On one hand, it's, like... The POV is obviously you're the audience. On the other hand, sometimes the POV is like you're one of the kids. So it does get kind of confusing sometimes because, again, the movie doesn't really fully establish really anything. And so, like, there's one part where, like, the kids are just like, where did Dad go? And it's like, huh? And they're like, let's go down, like, it's not... Again, this isn't really said, it's just you kind of infer it, you kind of, like, figure it out later on. You're like, oh. So the kids go downstairs, and they kind of, like, make, like, a fort and all that stuff. Oh, and also the kids, like, they pop in, whatever, public domain movie thing, and you hear the, music throughout the whole thing, which that kind of becomes kind of part of the spookiness. It's like, yeah, like, circus music is fine when you're like, oh, we're out the day of the circus. But, like, circus music is kind of, like, scary if, like, suddenly you're in the middle of Target and, like, all the lights go off and everyone disappears and you're the only one and you start hearing circus music. Like, that, you're like, what? Huh? No. Then you're like, I don't want to be part of this, Wow, my lighting really makes it look like I'm tan as hell, but I'm not. I'm pale as shit. Oh, God. Well... What did I touch? Trying to make it look less orange. Okay, alright, well, Jesus. Every year I go, I need a new little tripod, and I don't buy one. Anyway, so, yeah, so it's a lot of that kind of like public domain children's cartoon, like, and it's kind of, and it sounds like that and all that stuff. And then there's like this voice that comes out of nowhere, and it's like, and there is subtitles, so it doesn't do the full like what kind of thing when you're watching. You're like, I have no idea what's going on. It'll be like, hey, come over here. You're like, what? You know, there's one part where like it tells the like little boy to like put the knife in his eye, and then it's like, you know, because you put a knife in your eye, and you know, the kid's freaking out, and the kid was smart to call 911. And the kid calls 911, and the operator's like, why are you whispering? Is there someone else in the room? And the kid is like, I'm bleeding and I feel sick. And it's like, what? You know? And again, the movie is just so weird, and it's just so like, I cranked up the volume, and it kind of does like the stinger thing because of that, so I cranked up the volume. I didn't put on headphones. Some people said like if you watch it with headphones, it was more, immersive and blah, 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 all that stuff. But no. I got these good-ass speakers. We're doing it this way. So there were a couple parts, like I said, they did the jump scare thing where it does a kind of sound. I was like, Jesus! Okay, lower it, and it does it about like twice. So then like by the end, I had it at the normal level I have my speakers at, because ear. But yeah, so it's a lot of that. It's a lot of like, again, it's just random things like, we're just gonna film this corner of the room, we're gonna film that corner of the room, oh, we can't leave because all the windows and doors have disappeared. What does that mean? Well, that you see that in the movie, it just and it's early before the actual like stinger jump scare. I ended up having my own jump scare because the way how this movie is shot and edited, like there's a lot of like kind of quick cuts. I can't even snap. What the hell's wrong with me? Oh, I had moisturizer on, so it can't. But so there's one part where I'm doing this, and then I like rub my eye like this, and then I literally blink, and then like a shot of like a couple of doorways, and then suddenly like one of the doorways disappears, and I was like, huh, the fuck, like as I blinked, so I was like, the hell. There's another part that got me like, no, because apparently the mom had died, I guess. I kind of ended up having to read this part because I couldn't even figure out that there wasn't like a mom technically there. And then like the dad goes missing because, like I said, the movie has like the kids just kind of like figure out their night by themselves, and it ends up, so you end up in with the daughter's POV, and you go into the parents' room, and the dad is there, even though apparently he's supposed to be gone, disappeared or whatever, gone out for cigarettes and milk, and the dad goes, look under the bed, and I was like, what? And then the camera goes down to the bed, and I'm like, oh, you better not have something, because it's the anticipation of what's gonna jump out that gets you kind of like, no. So I'm like sitting there like, no, you're not gonna have some stupid thing come at me. No, I'm just like, no, but there's nothing there. And she's like, I can't see, it's too dark. And he comes up, and the dad is like, look again. And you're like, what? And the camera goes down again, and I'm like, what? What are you trying to establish, movie? And then pulls back up, and then the dad's gone. And then it was just like, then there's like someone on the other side of the bed. Oh, it's mom. Wait, I thought the mom doesn't exist or something. And then that's when like the first stinger happens, where like the girl all of a sudden like she doesn't have a mouth or eyes. It's just like that kind of stuff, where the things aren't there. The image is like this close to the camera, and then you hear the like glitchy music, and I was like, God, stupid, fuck it, Yeah, so the movie just kind of does weird shit like that for a while. And, like, at some point I was like, alright, it, like, at some points, like, some of the ways, like, things were, like, filmed or, like, whatever, it kind of reminded me of some of the stuff I did when I was in college. I mean, not things I actually did. I mean, like, stuff I created, Jesus. When I told a child to put a knife in his eye, oh my god. No, like the stuff. Like I had a class where it was like, okay, you have to make a 3-minute video, and that's what it was. It was just like weird, like images, all fuzzy and grainy, and like sounds happening. You know what I mean? And it was like in a weird sepia color. Then it ends with like fucking just like it's back in color, but then there's just blood. Oh, what? Huh? You know, like there was no deep meaning behind it. I just wanted to make something weird, which hello. And then this movie like right like in between, I guess, I don't know if there's such a thing as a second and third act in the movie, but close towards the end of the movie, before like things resolved again, things just happen in the movie. I was like watching it and I kind of was like, ah, this is very me right now, right here, this very moment, what I'm seeing, this is very me. Huh, that's hilarious, you know. um but yeah, like, oh yeah, like, so besides like the parts of the house like disappearing, like windows and doors and stuff, suddenly it's like there's a Barbie like doll just like stuck to the roof, ceiling, sorry, or like, oh look, a chair, boom, there's a chair upside down, you know, like kind of weird, kind of poltergeist-y kind of shit happening. Like there was like a bunch of Legos and all that stuff. What else, brain? Yeah, again, it's just slow, and like the movie has like a blue tinge here and a pink tinge there. It's never like fully lights on kind of stuff. There's the few times you see like actual full spectrum color is like the little kid, the little boy, because the girl is all fucked up now. The little boy had a flashlight, so you see like the full colors of like the Lego set, and maybe semi a bit of the public domain cartoon or whatever, you know. But anyway, so yeah, so the movie just like the movie ends with like a shot of like all the Legos just like in like this upper corner, or like upper hallway part of the house, and it just says like it was like 575 days or something, and it's like, what does that mean? It's been 575 days? Or at the 575th day, Legos just appeared on the ceiling? Like, you know, because throughout the movie, like, you look at a wall and, like, the VHS tapes and toys and shit are just randomly sprawled. But then, like, yeah, it's just like, all the Legos are up there. Sure, why not, you know? I don't know what that meant, but I was like, okay. And then the movie just like zooms out just further and further and further. Oh yeah, and then you finally see a doorway, and I'm like, okay. And and then the movie ends, and I'm like, all right. Someone took the weird 3 to 5 minute thing I did freshman year in college and turned it into a full length thing. Send it off to festivals. I'm like, fucking hell. I make this joke all the time. I was like, maybe I should just make my own rom-com. Maybe I should just make my own, like, weird thing and then just send it off. Like, you know, like, maybe I should. I mean, I don't have the money for any of that stuff. I mean, I barely have the money to, you know, do anything. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, yeah, so, like I said, I enjoyed this movie just because of, like, the weird factor, and it just, the fact that they said, fuck it, this is the movie, you know? Again, I know a lot of people would just be like, yeah, the gimmick of it, I guess you would call it, wears off very quickly, and obviously the jump scare stuff, you know, with the stinger sounds, are very cheap, you know? Because, again, I feel like what worked better was the stuff like, look under the bed, but there's nothing there, but they're like, no, look again, and then you look, and there's still nothing there, because again, it's the anticipation that kind of makes you go, huh, a little bit more, because the stinger stuff was a little bit like, alright, fuck you, movie, again, which is why it's like a 4-star. This movie probably could have been a full-ass fucking 5-star for me if I wasn't just like, really, bitch, a couple parts, you know. But anyway, yeah, so that was Skinamarink, and again, it's weird. I'm fine with weird. Again, I feel like also part of the horror part of it was just like you as an adult just hearing a child in pain, and then like you can't do anything, and that's also like, that's horrific, you know, because it's a kid, you know, and then a, you know, disembodied voice is like, you know, like, put it in your eye, and you're like, why? Anyway, yeah. Also, you wouldn't think, like, a fucking, like, Fisher-Price, like, telephone thing would scare the fuck out of you, you know? There's like, oh, yeah, there's a cordless phone, and it's a little spooky. But then a Fisher-Price phone, that's even scarier. Oh yeah, also, God, before we actually end this movie apparently takes place in like 1995 or something, which explains the graininess and the blah blah blah, you know. Blah, blah, blah. Just a reason so they're not like, oh, cell phones or whatever, you know. I don't know. Whatever. This is weird. I liked it.